When it comes to things that are good for us, how much is enough? I'm thinking here of things like exercise or meditation. And it seems to me that the prevailing story, or the sort of common response you'd have to that, is, well, as much as possible. The more you do, the better. And I know there are some people who seem to relish doing as much as possible of things, but I'm not one of them, and I don't know about you. I think for many of us, there's a certain resistance, inertia. We can have a lot on our plate, and so as much as possible can feel kind of unrealistic, and even like it's not about us. It doesn't meet the reality of our lives. But the other day I was asked this question around meditation, how much is enough? And I responded, as I often do, by saying, well, I started by saying, well, like anything else, the more you do, the more you're going to get out of it. And then I went on to say, but it's really helpful to start small, make sure it makes sense to you, enjoy the process, and you can go from there. And so that seems like a sensible response to me. But then I heard someone else ask this question. It wasn't about meditation, actually. It was about something completely different. But their response shook me up, because their response was to the question, how much is enough, was as little as possible. And as I say, this shook me up. Like, what if we applied that to meditation? How much is enough with meditation? As little as possible. And for me, what that does is it actually leads directly to another question, which is as little as possible for what? What is it you want? And to my mind, that's a crucial question. And so often an ignored question. And particularly if we take the response as much as possible, you don't really need to think about what you want. Just do as much as possible and somehow whatever you want will be taken care of. But if we take the approach of as little as possible, that does bring to light this question, well, why are you doing this? What is this for? And I think that's a really important question. And so I actually really love this response of as little as possible, because it seems to make all of this, firstly, much more realistic, much more on a human scale. We can let go of grand visions and dreams, and often they're other people's visions or dreams. And I know that can all be very inspiring, but it can also take us away from ourselves. So it makes it much more realistic, and it also clarifies this question. Well, what is it you want? What is this for? And so if this is something you've been thinking about with meditation, if this strikes a chord, that might be something to try emphasize. What's the minimum amount you can do that's going to serve what it is you want? And of course, there are more things to reflect on and answer here, like, well, how does this all work, and so on. But this could be a really gentle and human-scaled beginning to this process. Okay, take care.